Research Organization. Dear Mrs. Zindel, my name is Zurnica Georgieva, and I'm a state expert in Science Directorate of the Bulgarian Ministry of Education and Science. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to the webinar dedicated to the Scientific Exchanges Initiative between Bulgaria and Switzerland that is part of the second Swiss contribution to selected European Union member states. Bulgaria is proud to participate in all three funding instruments offered by the Swiss National Science Foundation as part of the second Swiss contribution. PROMISE, Promotion of Young Scientists in Eastern Europe, and MAPS, Multilateral Academic Projects, that have already been closed, and we are looking forward to seeing positive outcomes. And now, to finish successfully the third one, namely the call for Sciex Fellowships 2025. The mandate for the implementation of Sciex was given by the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, SDC, and is co-financed by the Bulgarian Ministry of Education and Science. Sciex is aimed at early career researchers, PhD, doctoral students, and postdoctoral researchers of any nationality who are permanent residents in Bulgaria and would like to undertake a research secondment in a non-commercial Swiss research institute or higher education institution. The main objectives of Sciex are to further scientific knowledge and development, to improve and deepen the grantees' scientific skills, and to foster research collaborations and strengthen scientific networks. The call was opened on the 1st of November 2024, and as you probably already know, there is a new closing date for it, that is the 13th of March 2025. All about the key characteristics of the funding scheme and the specific conditions and procedures for submitting a proposal to the Sciex Fellowships call, as well as some slightly adapted eligibility criteria, will be outlined to you by Ms. Renate Zindel from the Swiss National Science Foundation, who is part of the Early Careers team and is engaged with the Sciex call implementation. Today's information event is the third one after the Information Day that we organized at the end of October, physically in Sofia, and the online consultation that was held in December before the Christmas holidays. I believe that many of you have already been acquainted with the call, and even that some of you have registered at the web platform of the SNSF, MES-SNF, intending to apply for the call. We know that there are already some applications in preparation, in progress, and this is a good news, of course. The aim today is to motivate you again to participate in Sciex, because we in the Ministry of Education and Science believe that Sciex would be a good opportunity for young researchers, PhD students and postdocs to achieve some of their professional goals. The active participation of as many of you as possible would be a guarantee for success, both to your organizations and to the science in Bulgaria as a whole. Bulgaria has taken the decision to choose Sciex since this program is in close coherence with the objectives to develop human resources, young talents, and international cooperation laid down in the National Strategy for Development of Scientific Research. Now, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Zindel to present the Sciex scheme. After her presentation, you will have the opportunity to ask questions. Thank you. Mrs. Zindel, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. And I will continue with our presentation. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
I cannot see it, but can you see the presentation? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Very good.
Yes.
Okay, very good. I'll start then. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Renate Zindel, and I'm from the Swiss National Science Foundation, who partners with the Bulgarian Ministry of Education and Science in the organization and the funding of this program called Sciex. I will take you through some more detailed and maybe also more technical aspects of a Sciex application and the program's main aims and target applicants. Oh, no, it's better. Okay. This is the structure of today's presentation, going from the aims of debate and the basic idea of the program to the hard facts about the call 2025, the actual submission of applications and the procedure, the evaluation procedure, and up to the communication of the decisions. In the end, we will have some time for questions. This is a recap of what Zornica has already shown you of the background of the Sciex instrument within the second Swiss contribution to the EU countries, including the 3 programs, PROMIS, MAPS, and Sciex, which is co-funded by the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation and the Bulgarian Ministry of Science and Education. Again, as a recap, the targets or the target researchers for this program are young researchers, early career researchers, PhD students, and postdoctoral researchers wishing to do a secondment in Switzerland. And the goals of the program are to further the scientific knowledge and development, to improve and deepen the grantees' scientific skills, and to create research collaborations and strengthen the scientific networks of them. Let's go to the actual call and how to submit an application. First, as Sonita has already mentioned, there were some adjustments to the call in January, implemented in January, with the goal to reach more potential applicants, to have more applications in the end. The adjustments were namely an extension of the deadline to the 13th of March instead of the 3rd of February, then an extension to Bulgarian nationals living abroad. Bulgarian nationals don't have to live permanently in Bulgaria anymore, and in order to be eligible for this instrument. And postdoctoral researchers who would like to submit an application do not have to have an affiliation with the Bulgarian Institute at the moment of the submission deadline, but as it was adjusted only at the planned start of the fellowship or the secondment. All the other eligibility criteria remain the same. Now, how to actually prepare an application. I think one of the important things about it is the order of things and to start early. I've prepared a quick list of where to start. And I think one of the most important things is to closely check eligibility criteria, because if in the end you find out that you're not actually eligible, the whole work was for nothing. So check in the call document, check in MES-SNF. I'm sorry. And if necessary, ask us. You can always contact us by email. Also, for the eligibility criteria, there are exemptions, for example, to the 8 years after getting your degree. So also be aware of those. Then also something that you should do early is to create a MES-SNF account. And you have to do that early for 2 reasons. First, it may take just a day or 2 for our IT to confirm your registration and initiate your account, but mainly because there's also lots of information in MES-SNF. Right in MES-SNF that will help you fill out and actually fill in your application and submit it in the end, while respecting all the instructions given. Also very important to do early on is to establish contact with a Swiss institution. This may take more time than you might think in the beginning, and also maybe not the first attempt will work out. So calculate enough time for that. Also, you have to have all your official documents ready. That means diplomas and certificates that may need to be translated in order to be understood by everyone. And some documents also take some time to be issued by the responsible authorities. And then also very important and to be started early on is the preparation of your personal application documents, such as the research plan and the CV. I will go through all those steps again, not in this order, but within a bit more detail. So let's go to the required documents. The heart of your application is the research plan, which actually follows the structure that you see on the right-hand side. Those are again, point 1, 2, and 3 are again the main aims of the program that should be reflected in the research plan. The first one being scientific knowledge and development. The second one being your, as a grantee, personal scientific skills. And the third one, which is specific to this program in comparison to other research promotion programs, is that the collaborations and the strengthening of scientific networks is a main point, a main aim of this instrument, and should be clearly reflected in your research plan. The research plan has really clear framework how it has to be written and structured, so please follow those instructions, which will also make it a lot easier for the evaluators of your application to find the relevant information and to assess the quality of your application. Second is the CV, which includes also major scientific achievements that you can list there, which is also a very important document because this is an early career instrument and the person is going to be assessed as well as the proposed project. The SNSF, in order to comply with the DORA principles of assessing output, defined a new structure for the CV and request a standardized set of information from all applicants. The CV needs to be created in the SNF portal. You also find the link in my SNF, and there's guidelines on how to fill it out and upload it in the end. So you will need to fill in the information in the portal and then create a PDF that you finally upload in your application. But there's really clear instructions in my SNF, so don't worry, it will be easy. There's also information on the website and the idea of DORA in case you're interested and you want more information, and also about how to set it up on the website. On the left-hand side, you see the website. Then the copies of degrees, certificates, and diplomas. This differs now a little bit between PhD students and postdoctoral researchers applying for the instrument. While PhD students need to submit a confirmation that they have been registered at their university for a PhD degree for at least 6 months prior to the submission deadline, while postdoctoral researchers have to upload an official certificate that they are affiliated with the Bulgarian Institute or will be affiliated with the Bulgarian Institute at the latest at the start of the fellowship. Of course, you also need to upload your diplomas, the master's degree with a transcript of courses and grades that you got. If you're not a Bulgarian national, you need to show that you're permanent resident of Bulgaria. And this is also something that is probably worth. This confirmation is also something that it makes sense to organize early. And then last but not least, I think for the required documents, you need confirmations from your host institution in Switzerland, which also has to follow the guidelines and state all the necessary information. And you also find all of it in MES-NF or the call document. Oh, no, it's not the last point. Of course, there's also support letters needed from, on one hand side, the Swiss supervisor, but also from the Bulgarian supervisor for the PhD students and the postdoctoral researchers. So I guess it's more a mentor for the postdoctoral researchers. Instructions on what exactly they should state in those support letters are also given in MES-NF. So let's go to MES-NF itself. This is again a repetition. Please ask, go to the MES-NF web page. That this is what you find. That's what it looks like. This is the German version, but you see on the right hand on the top that there's a German, a French, and an English version. So you should change the language, whatever you like best. And then you first need to register. And I'm sure our IT will confirm your registration very soon, but then and then you can start actually opening a Sciex application. And here you have to, this is actually a view of what MES-NF looks like on the inside. You have to go on create a new application on the left-hand side. And then you have to find the right instrument. So it is in programs, national, international, and then scroll down to enlargement contribution, and finally Sciex fellowship. And then you can create your own application and you have access to all the information in there. That's more or less what it looks like. You have on the left-hand side, you have all the different containers of information that you have to fill in. And clicking on each of them, you can see all the information given to you. I don't know if you can see my arrow here, but you can see, you see the red thing, the red underlined or bold instructions. Don't miss those. But then also the rest that comes gives you very valuable information on what should be included and what shouldn't. This is the case for each of the containers on the left-hand side that you actually have to fill in. I think it's actually the most useful information, or the best placed information, because you always have it right at hand when you're actually filling out one specific container. There's another example of a information container. This is the requested funding. And here, for example, where the red block is around, it lists exactly which costs are eligible at the SNSF. So what you can ask money for, which is, for example, the short-term visits of the supervisors from Bulgaria to Switzerland, or from Switzerland to Bulgaria, which are also eligible costs that you can ask for. And some material, travel costs, it's all listed in here. And if something's not clear, you can always contact us, of course. So again, this was another order, but please start early with all the official documents. First, or again in this order that I explained before, and the creation of a MES-NF account, just to have all the information right at the beginning already. After your application was submitted on the 13th of March, it will be formally checked by the SNSF offices, and if required, we will get back to you if we need further information or if something is missing. So please be available during, let's say, the first week after submitting your application, so we can contact you. And as soon as the formal check is done, we will send out your application to for evaluation. The main aims of the program reflected in the research plan are also the evaluation criteria, as you see here, where the promotion of scientific knowledge and development weighs 50%, the improvement and deepening of the grantee scientific skills is 20%, and the creation of research collaborations and the strengthening of scientific networks accounts for 30% of the final grade, or that you get for your evaluation. Your application will be evaluated by 2 panel members. We have a panel for Sciex. At the moment, it's 1 panel, which will be dealing with all of your applications. If there's significantly more applications coming in, we might have to change that. There will be 2 independent evaluations done by panel members, and your application will also be externally peer reviewed if needed. The applications and evaluations will be discussed at an official evaluation meeting, and they will make a ranking of the applications. And then, according also to the available budget, the applications will be funded or not. You'll find more information on the evaluation process on our website. Just as a reminder of the schedule or of the upcoming events, some of them are past already. So the call opened on the 1st of November. It will close on the 13th of March at 5 o'clock sharp Swiss time. And there's 1 hour of time difference. Don't forget about that. It's 3 o'clock at your place, right? It's 2 here. So it's in your favor, I guess, if I'm not wrong. So, but don't miss that time difference between Switzerland and Bulgaria. The evaluation will take place between April and July, and the results will be communicated in August. The earliest possible start of your secondment, of your fellowship, is in October, and the latest possible start is 6 months after the decisions have been communicated. That means in April. Just as a reminder, you find all the important information on the website in the call document. There's pretty much everything that I said now is in there. You can, and as I said, also in my SNF is very much valuable information. And in case of doubt, and if you're not sure about something, you can always contact us on Sciex. Sciex@snf.ch. On the webpage, there's also I think a good collection of frequently asked questions that you can consult. But then I guess we can continue with the questions that we've already collected. Or how would you suggest, Michaela, that we proceed? Should we take the ones first that have
I
just
would
come in now?
suggest we proceed with those we have collected already, and then
Okay.
with all those on Slido.
Okay. Those are questions that came in by email or on Slido before this presentation. Some of them we received in different variations many times. So I'll just go through these, and then you can always ask your questions in the chat or in Slido, I guess, right now. So the first one is, what is the funding for Bulgarian PhD students within Sciex collaboration? This is a pretty open question, but I guess you want to know what your salary would be as a PhD student in Switzerland. And this actually depends on the institution where you will be working, because the different institutions have their own salary ranges. There is a maximal salary for PhD student that the SNSF defines, which is I think it's 55,000 per year. But it really depends on the institution and also the year of your PhD you're in. If you're in the first year, it will be lower probably than the second or the third year. I hope this was how this question was meant. Then another question that we also receive often is how to find a host in Switzerland. This turns out to be a difficult task. Which hosts are eligible and where are we looking for them? At them institutes, universities. Yeah, this is indeed a difficult task, but also a difficult question to answer because it will differ greatly between disciplines, I guess. But I think your most important source of information will be the websites of the institutions, the universities in Switzerland. The universities will know, I mean, universities are eligible per se, the universities of Switzerland, but there's also other institutions. They will know if they are eligible for Swiss National Science Foundation money or not. If they are not, yeah, they will know that. One important criteria are definitely that they are non-profit and they do research as a main task. So research should be their main thing they do, or one of the main things. If they do something else as a main line of work, that won't be an eligible institution. I think if you are working in a specific field, it's probably also good to check at meetings or in publications that you know who does interesting research in your field of research. So check if some of them maybe work in Switzerland, and maybe you've met people, and maybe also your supervisor knows interesting research groups in your field of research. That would be a possibility for you to join. Then we had the question, what does it mean that overhead costs are not eligible? This is something that is stated in the call document. And well, overhead costs is something that the institution administration sometimes covers from the research groups that have their own funding through grants, for example, for their service to actually administer the money. And this is something that the SNSF has always, in all the different instruments that they fund, they will not cover. So in case your institution in Switzerland tells you that you will need to pay overhead costs, that also it's different between universities or between institutions, you would have to find a way between your supervisor and your supervisor in Bulgaria, maybe find a way to cover those costs. It's not that much usually, but and if you really get into trouble because there are overhead costs and you can't pay for them, you can always contact us and we'll try to find a solution. Don't hesitate to ask follow-up questions if there's something that wasn't clear in my explanation. There's another question coming up now. My slides. If at the submission deadline I will not have defended my PhD yet, probably in April 25 I will do so, can I still apply? Yes. This is kind of the case between being a PhD student and a postdoctoral researcher, I guess. But if you plan to defend your PhD within the next 6 months after the submission deadline. You just have to submit a confirmation of your PhD supervisor that you will be able to defend your thesis within the next 6 months, and then you're eligible as a postdoctoral researcher. So you will have to do a postdoctoral project in Switzerland, as you have already your PhD degree. Okay, so we have some more questions that we also had in several forums. Someone asked, I would like to take my family with me to Switzerland. What support can I expect in Switzerland, and how can I apply for it? Working in Switzerland, you will receive your salary from the university where you work, or the institution where you work, and it's depending on the place where the institution is, how much money you will get for like family contributions. So we cannot exactly tell you. It depends on the university and where it actually is. You will get some family support from, or some family contribution within your social contributions. I think for family and also for each child. I cannot tell you exactly how much it is. Some universities also have programs like support in child daycare, children daycare, and maybe also some programs, family support programs that you're eligible for, but it's something that you can contact the university as soon as you know that you have been accepted, or also maybe already the supervisor in Switzerland when what they know about this when you have identified the institution in Switzerland. And then as a last question that we have on here is, which criteria do the supervisors in Switzerland and Bulgaria respectively have to fulfill, I guess, to be eligible for this job as supervisors within Sciex? And there's no really clear-cut criteria for them. I guess they would have to lead their own independent research group in order to fulfill this role. But otherwise, there's nothing defined on that. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. And if I may ask the following questions from Slido and then from the comments on here. Okay, I begin with Slido. What is the funding for Bulgarian PhD students within the Sciex collaboration?
I think we've had this on the slide and I've answered it.
Oh, perfect. Okay, then we begin with the questions on Zoom. Just give me a second. Okay. Can Sciex or the Ministry of Education and Science offer any support in finding a host? Or which department of the host institute should we contact to establish the connection if we don't know anyone at that institution?
Okay, this is well, I don't really know from your side, but at the SNSF, it's really difficult to help you with this rather than giving you general advice of checking the website. I personally, and I don't really know how it's in different disciplines. I know from my own background, I know life sciences, but I would directly contact the group leader. I would just send an email saying, I'm this person and I would really like to do this project or something in this research area. Would you be willing to collaborate and do that together with me? They will definitely know the Swiss National Science Foundation, and they can look up all the relevant information about Sciex on the webpage. But I think that's how I would do it.
If I may add, I would have a similar or the same approach. Contact team leaders of labs that do similar to my work in my field. Okay. We proceed with the questions. We have 3 questions here. what is the employment status of the postdoc researcher at their Bulgarian institute during the fellowship? And are they on unpaid leave?
Well, what I can say is that they will be employed in Switzerland.
Mhm.
So they don't need to be employed with a salary in Bulgaria. So I guess the status of their employment is not very well. You shouldn't get salary in Bulgaria because otherwise I don't think you're eligible for the salary in Switzerland. I think unpaid leave is maybe a good way to organize it. You just the thing that the Sciex well has as a condition is that you have a mentor or a person that supervises your work in Bulgaria, like a research group where you're associated with, that you do research with. Because it's not only your your network and your collaboration with Switzerland that is important, or Sciex wants to promote, but also between the two research groups.
Okay. Is it possible to finance services such as a flight campaign with a hyperspectral camera? I think that's a very specific question, maybe. Is
I
it?
think so too.
Yeah. If it's not clear enough, maybe the Ms. Ganeva can elaborate more on the question, on the specifics of the question at least.
Also, there's some guidelines on which costs are eligible. In my SNF, we saw that. And if it's really specific to the field, I will not be able to answer that right away like that. So it's probably better. Well, there are eligible research costs also. I think you get a certain amount of money per year that you can ask for. And if it turns out this is what you need, send us an email and we will check in detail what we can do.
Okay. Hello, I'm Desislava Ganeva. Yeah, just the more general question was maybe can we finance services?
Yeah,
like
I think
not
so.
Not an equipment, not a conference, but services. In principle, yes. This is.
Yeah, what I have in my head that we absolutely do not fund are things of value, of like constant value, like we won't buy you a computer or something like that. But yes, services also like sequencing or stuff like that, we do up to a certain amount is usually, well, I'm just saying that very general. We will have to check in detail, but it's not excluded, I would say.
Thank you.
And the third question we have from Ms. Ganeva is, who is authorized to translate the Bulgarian PhD certificate?
This was just, is there, does it has to be certified by special translators or by Ministry of Education or we just translate it ourselves and add the original certificate in Bulgarian?
It will always be good to have the original diploma as well, so we can, so we have this information as well. I don't really know what differences there are. We don't need a like an authorized copy of it, but an official translation would be good.
Okay.
But I never had to do that, so I don't really know what the different options are. But you can always, send us what you have in an email and we will check if we will accept that. I can check with my colleagues that have done that more often, and then we will see.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Can you also share some history on the program? How many people have been in the program in the past? Is there a list of hosts we have and hosted students in the past?
Okay. Sciex is a bit of an isolated one-time thing that will be done now in 2025. There has been a version of it, I think, in 2019. or 16, but very long time ago. And the situation
Long time
was,
ago, yes.
yeah, maybe you know more about it actually.
Oh,
Yes, no.
I'm not sure.
Hi, I'm Iskra.
Hello.
It's very a lot of time passed since then, and what we know from our colleagues is that there were maybe 11 people who applied on the program, and I think they did it by themselves to find a host organization, and they did very well with this. So I have a talk with many applicants, and we do what can we do. We give them some advices, contact this or that institution, but in general, we are not familiar with the institution in Switzerland, so we can be in help. And maybe this what Renate told to check the web pages of the universities, science organizations, and other institutions involved in research will be more good for you than to ask us or SNSF for this. It will take some time, but it will be a better approach for you. I hope this, I know it's a general answer, but
Yeah,
honestly, we can't hope much with this, unfortunately.
sorry, am I muted? Can you hear me?
can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, hold on, let me see if I can turn my camera on. My concern is that there is not enough time for finding a host institute, and that's really the most important part of the project. And it just doesn't seem very serious to, just as a PhD student, to contact a university that we have no affiliation with or any relationships or working relationships and just tell them, hey, my name is Marina, I'm from Bulgaria, I want to come and work on a program that you're going to pay me for. It's just, I was hoping that the Ministry of Education or SNSF has some kind of, maybe a template or document that can be provided to these institutions, maybe the history of the program, the benefits for the institution for this program, because they would be like, what's in it for me, right? I mean, you say they're familiar with Sciex, but what if they're not very familiar? So I was wondering if there's any support document, or maybe we can email those videos on YouTube that describe the program. It's just really not enough time. It's February 18, the deadline is March 13. Decisions are not made in a day. Those are important decisions. So really, it's concerning that the time is almost up and it's very limited. And since we don't have any support in finding the institution, that may be a deal breaker.
Yeah, it's true. What we know from our colleagues from SNSF, that on their site there is a list with science organization and universities in Switzerland, but it's not full one. Am I correct, Renate?
I mean, Switzerland is a small country. There are not that many research institutions. They're big ones, the big universities in the big cities. There's Geneva, Lausanne, Bern, Zurich. There's a new one in Lucerne and one in the Ticino, in the Italian-speaking part. So you don't have to look for a very long list. And if you're doing applied science, there's the Institution of Applied Sciences that are also eligible. I'm not saying all the research institutions will be aware of Sciex, but they're all very aware of the Swiss National Science Foundation because they get most of their money from there if they're doing fundamental research anyway. So they know the SNSF, they're most likely to have received money from there. And if you send them the link, I would not send them and a video, I would send them the link to the official webpage on the SNSF webpage, saying this is the instrument or the program I'm interested in. And I know, I mean, the call has been open since November 1st. There was a little bit more time. I know we're in advanced in time. This is just a, you know, a recap of all the information. Yes, I guess.
Is there, for example, well, because a lot of organizations review their budgets in the beginning of the year, so really
Also, sorry, the institutions will not pay you. The Swiss National Science Foundation will pay the institution,
right.
and they will pay you. So it's not on their budget.
Yeah. But there is some bureaucracy involved in setting up the account and all that, and they just have to, do they have to know if they have any spots available, or will they just will they be willing to take anyone to do research with them? I just don't know how it really works with the institution.
I think you should just try. I mean, we have, from my experience comes from different programs, but we had, for example, the Swiss postdoctoral fellowships that we evaluated and organized at the Swiss National Science Foundation. And there was like 800 people from abroad, not from Switzerland, applying for it, for doing a fellowship in Switzerland, and they all found hosts. I don't think and that was like I think submission deadline was in November. So I think people and group leaders, researchers are generally willing to accept postdoctoral researchers within their groups. I mean, you ask what's in for them, but I think to have a qualified postdoctoral researcher in your group with a different view on things, because coming from somewhere else, they are interested generally in collaborations.
Okay, thank you.
I hope this was encouraging.
One more question concerning the supervisor. Could he be affiliated with different than the applicant's institution?
Sorry, could you come again?
Could the supervisor be affiliated with different than the applicant's institution?
You mean that as an applicant, you work at one institution and you have a supervisor from another institution?
Yes.
But what's your connection with the original, what's your connection with the institution then? I would assume that
the applicant is connected, is affiliated to one institution, but has a supervisor from another institution.
You mean in Bulgaria?
In Bulgaria, yes.
Okay. I don't think there would generally be a problem with that. That I can think of.
They're in the same field, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that should be okay.
I'm sorry, do you listen me?
Yes.
Can you listen?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm sorry. I asked the same question about Switzerland, and I received an email that it's not possible. My supervisor in Switzerland and my host institute to be different. What kind of different now in Bulgaria and Swiss? Because I write an email from our administration, and the answer was it not possible.
I don't think it would be possible in Switzerland, because I don't see, well, in Switzerland, the situation would be different, but in Bulgaria, you probably need to give a contact person also at the institution where you registered. But if the person, if you're a PhD student and the person that actually supervises you for your PhD is somewhere else, maybe also not at a university, but comes from an institution that is, for example, not allowed to give out PhDs. Well, maybe I just don't see the problem there. Did the email go to our Sciex account?
Yes, I sent the sales account and I received this one answer.
I will go check and give you, I will see, maybe there were some details in it that I wasn't aware of, or
Okay.
some administrative things.
Okay.
And the final question we have for now, at least on Zoom, if admitted in the program and have a salary through the program, will the PhD student lose their stipend in Bulgaria for the duration of the fellowship?
Yeah, I guess you cannot be paid twice for the same time. I don't, you can maybe, if I understood the question right, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think if you receive a stipend or a fellowship for your PhD, and then you're going to Switzerland where you actually paid, employed at the university, I guess you could, put it maybe on hold for the time in Switzerland and then get it back when you come back. Is that a possibility?
I think this is more of a question for the Bulgarian side because the stipends
Okay.
are the stipends are paid by the Ministry of Education, by the university in Bulgaria, and they are monthly stipends for the 3-year regular programs, full-time programs. So I think it's more of a question for the colleagues on the call from the Ministry of Education. How has it been in the past when the program was available in 2019? Will the stipend be discontinued for the duration, or will the student receive both while employed in Switzerland?
We need to check this.
Okay, maybe while the colleagues are checking those matters, we can go into more detail on the budgeting, supervisors, STV costs, travel costs, how to formulate all of those.
You want to know how you have to formulate it in MES-NF?
I think so, at least.
I think there's templates and there's instructions on how you have to write down what you would like, and there's not too much text you have to enter in the requested funding. You can just basically, keywords saying you want your supervisor from Bulgaria to come to Switzerland for so many weeks, and travel, and also, yeah, fill it in according to the instructions that you find in MES-NF. And if you have questions, you can contact us. And if it's something wrong or something that we do not understand when formally checking the application, then we will get back to you, I would say, without going into the detail of each eligible cost here.
Okay, thank you. And I think the final question we have here is whether it's possible to have the recording of the meeting afterwards. Yes, I posted the link. It's on our YouTube channel. It's going to be up by the end of today. And you can watch all of the previous events we have, webinars, not even on Sciex at least. And if English is the only language that we could speak during the program.
I guess most Swiss researchers will understand French and German in addition to English, or at least one of the two languages, because they work either in the German or the French-speaking part of Switzerland, unless they work at the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland. But I guess generally the common language in science will be English. Does that answer the question?
Probably it does. I guess it does. And the final sorry, the final question we have now is someone commented, Miss Petkocheva, I guess, commented that her program, her PhD program, was frozen, so to say, for a year while she was attending such a program. So can the ministry, colleagues from the ministry, elaborate more on whether the PhD program of the candidate from Bulgaria will be put on hold while they are at the institution in Switzerland?
I think yes, because no double funding is allowed, and it could be considered as double funding during the stay in Switzerland. So the stipend from Bulgaria will stop since the applicant will have a stipend from Switzerland.
Exactly. So it is
By the
the
program.
funding that will be put on hold, not the program itself. You are still an active PhD student or a postdoc student in Bulgaria too, while being in Switzerland for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, as long as you need to be there. Who is expected to write the science project, candidate or the host?
For me, mostly the applicant, but I think it's good to consult with the host. I mean, and it's also good to have feedback on the project that you submit from the host. It's, I would say, necessary to talk to the host about it, because the the infrastructure need to be at hand, and the necessary supervision for methods, and the topic itself needs to be in place. So, but you're, as the main applicant, you're the author of the project.
Okay. Thank you for all of those answers. At least for now, we have no more questions. Oh, we have. Okay, we have more questions. Oh no, it's not a question. Okay. Anyway, we have no more questions on Slido or in the comments. Maybe if anyone else has any questions, maybe you can tell them where they can find you outside of this meeting here.
I mean, I said you can always reach us by email. Yeah, and ask your questions there. This is questions for us in Switzerland, but then all the questions in Bulgaria should be directed to.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zindel, for your clear explanation and all the information that you provided. We wish success to all participants who will be interested and motivated to apply for the Sciex fellowships. And we will be at your disposal if you need further clarifications and some more information. Thank you very much for your participation.
Absolutely. You can contact us anywhere, even on LinkedIn, YouTube. It doesn't matter for us, as long as you can ask your questions and we can answer them. So any sort of social media.
Thank you also from my side.
Thank you, everyone.